I'm also seeing Muspel here getting showed up here. So I don't have Muspel on the main account, I believe. Minus attack plus HP, so off to a great start with the minus attack master 1. Oh, I'm gonna get Lynn. Let's go. Let's go. The top priority unit is summoned. Oh, I'm gonna get Ymir. Alright. Maybe another 5-star? Yes, it is gonna be another 5-star. It is gonna be Summer Tiki. Let's go. Another 5-star on the free summon. And it is gonna be Tharja, Bright Tharja. I didn't have her on this account. I don't think it's gonna be happening. Okay, Midori is gonna show up. You know, at least 2 rearmed Glyph, because even if you fodder him off, he still stays in your barracks after that first fodder. And I really want to give that weapon to my... Oh my god, I'm gonna get rearmed Glyph on my free summon. Okay, I didn't expect that. So here comes Ascended Hilda. Oh, I'm gonna get Legion. I just finished plus and merging her a couple of weeks back, actually. Maybe Redstone, I guess. Another copy of Dual Lift. I wouldn't mind that. But I'm just gonna get repositioned, which is also not that bad. Oh yes, let's go. Rearm Lift showing up again. So that is another weapon. And I'm gonna get Amelia. Okay. So my Amelia is like +5 merge at this point. So this is gonna be +6. I really love his art. I also really like Legendary Seaguard's art. So those have to be my favorite. I also really like some of Mercedes' art. So that's another one. And Resplendent Sonia is also pretty nice. So those would be my favorite art. And I'm gonna get Legendary Xander here. I mean, his art is also pretty nice. But Colorless is also known as Colorless Health, so not a lot of chances of getting. Oh, never mind. Never mind, I spoke too soon. Okay, I'm gonna get Summer Hilda. Let's go. And I'm gonna get Fallen Indian. Let's go. Let's go. God, one of my top priority units, and I hope that I can now get Legendary Ninian. So I sparked Legendary Ninian here. I really love her artwork, honestly. It's so amazing. Not sure what she has in her back, like these Dragon Balls. They also appear in her sprite and they kind of spin. It's really funny. So yeah, got Legendary Ninian and Greenstone because I could kill him to my Asker for Steady Stance 4. Oh, I'm gonna get Legion. Oh my god. That is amazing on the free summon because I had a Legion who I killed many years ago, like in 2018, I believe. So Tempest Claw gives him the Iod Shield effect, but it actually makes him weak to the blue tomes. And this is a reference to Radiant Dawn, where Wyverns were weak to thunder magic. And in Fae, thunder magic is usually the blue color. He also gets a dual phase brave weapon, which is absolutely amazing. And with his weapon refined, he's able to get +5 attack and defense in combat, and also the guard effect on the opponent. And finally, he also has flat damage reduction by 15% of his defense. So overall, this weapon is really good for making Har into a unique axe flyer. So Virtuous Naga does give you +3 attack and dragon effectiveness, and now with this weapon refined, she can get +10 attack and resistance and +4 speed and defense in combat. She also gets Dragon Wall and also gets the guaranteed follow-up attack, which she really needed to function in the mixed phase. She can also get close counter against the dragon opponents, which is absolutely amazing because she can already disable their adaptive damage with Light and Dark 2. So she's already not going to be taking any kind of damage from them, and now she can easily enemy face them as well. With Light and Dark 2, she gets an unconditional -5 Spectrum lull, and these -5 debuffs to all of the stat of the opponent is really helpful for making Julia into a much bulkier unit. And finally, she can also neutralize any kind of debuff on herself. And overall, she's going to be functioning as a pretty bulky blue mage, especially against a lot of the dragons and mages. And she can hit a lot harder now with the guaranteed follow-up attack and the extra attack that she can get. We have Sothis with her weapon refine and remix, call this the Red Canyon because it killed Sothis, and this is really unfortunate because Sothis got shafted pretty much in her weapon refine because of having a distant counter weapon, and it feels really annoying, especially when we have distant counter Dragon Sacred Seal. So unfortunately, Sothis is going to be one of the worst mythic units to be used in Aether Raid's defense because she's just not threatening like the other mythics, and she doesn't really support her teammates like Medius does, for example. This weapon refine is really not that insane. Her remix is at least decent, so that's something. So she does have distant counter and null dragon effectiveness, which is really good for not getting nuked by the dragon slayers. And with her weapon refine, all she gets is +4 to all of her stats and 40% damage reduction on foes' first attack. And Sirius Plus gives her null guard, which is the by far most useful thing that she has gained. So now he is actually a top tier unit and a much better tank. He did have distant counter weapon, and he can also get special cooldown charge on foes attack. But with this weapon refine, he's able to get true damage based on 20% of his defense, and he can also get flat damage reduction by 20% of his defense. So this weapon refine can also give him +5 defense, speed, and resistance, and he also inflicts -5 defense on foe in combat, and he can also neutralize any kind of opponent's attack and defense buffs. So overall, this weapon refine makes him a hero from zero. Brave Edelgard was already the best unit out of Choose Your Legends 4 before the weapon refine, and she actually ends up getting a pretty solid weapon refine that doubles down on her strengths. And now with this weapon refine, she can just casually inflict -12 attack and defense debuff on the foe in combat. And if that was not enough, she can get even more stats to her attack, defense, and resistance in combat, depending on the spaces moved by whoever initiated. And finally, she's also able to get 7 HP healing per hit in the combat, so that is also really good for freeing up her special so that she doesn't have to run something like Noontime, and she's actually a top tier near safe tank with this weapon refine. It was really annoying for him to face any kind of Fatal Smoke user, but this weapon refine actually tries to fix that by reducing the effect of Deep Wound status and Fatal Smoke by 60%. And then he can also get +10 to all of his stats in combat, and he can also get the Null Guard effect, which allows him to spam his special, and he can also get partial null follow-up. And finally, if he has got any kind of bonus active on him, then he can get 30% of the damage reduction on foe's first attack. So this pretty much gives Claude a lot of the things which he needed. So Dark Spike's Tau does provide +3 speed and the cavalry effectiveness. At start of the turn, she can inflict herself with 1 damage, and this 1 damage is going to be activating the guaranteed follow-up attack and the desperation effect. So she can function much better offensively, and she can also provide herself with the Otter's buff at start of the turn. So she can just teleport pretty easily with this, and it does increase her mobility. With this weapon refine, she's able to get -1 special cooldown and +12 attack and speed in combat. And finally, she can also get special charges on her own hits. So Resplendent Fae is a Gen 1 Green Infantry Dragon, and she did get a weapon refine 2 years ago, and it's still a pretty decent weapon. So Eternal Breath provides you with +5 stat buffs to Fae and any kind of ally within 2 spaces. Her weapon refine is quite synergetic with the primary condition. She just needs any kind of bonus to be active on herself, and she can inflict -4 attack and resistance debuff on the foe in the combat, and she can also get +1 special cooldown per foe's attack. And the best thing about Fae is going to be the fact that she is one of the very few Gen 1 units who can score 190 BST in Colosseum game modes. So Resplendent George is a Gen 1 archer, and he's got Parthia as his weapon refine. So this was one of the earlier weapon refines, and you might have guessed that it has not aged that well. His stat spread is also not really too min-maxed. He ends up having 34 base attack and 34 base speed after the Resplendent stats. So unfortunately, George is again one of those units that you build up if you really like him a lot. Outside of that, he's really not going to be standing out.
Okay, let's go.
she is essentially the star of this banner, despite not being a harmonic unit. So she's got Firelight Lance, which gives her -1 special cooldown, and she can get +5 to all of her stats with this weapon, and she can also deal true damage based on 15% of foe's attack. And if the foe has got 4 less speed than Lyn, then she's able to get the guard effect against them, and after the combat she can essentially get the mini special spiral to herself and any allies within 4 spaces of her. She also has godlike reflexes as the new inheritable speed based special, and if you win the speed check, and if the unit special is ready or it triggers during the combat, then you can deal 15% true damage based on your speed, and when the special triggers, you're able to get 40% damage reduction. She also has Verdict of Sake, which is basically a Spectrum finish skill because it is quite similar to the finish skills in terms of the healing and the true damage that you can get. So Lyn has a lot of options honestly, and is definitely a very strong unit in pretty much any kind of game mode. Tana this time around is a green dagger flyer with Kindling Taiko as her preferred weapon. This provides her with -1 special cooldown, and she can also give herself and any kind of ally within 2 spaces the Canto 1 status effect. You can also get +6 attack and speed in combat with this weapon, and also half null follow up. And in the player phase, if she's facing any kind of non-red foe, then she's able to get extra attack depending on 20% of her visible attack stat, and also inflict penalty on their attack stat depending on foe's visible attack stat. So overall, this weapon makes her into a really strong far-safe tank buster. Harmonic Tana also has a pretty nice harmonic skill, which is going to be useful for Sacred Stone and Heroes units, and it does give you resonant shields and also refreshes the ally within 2 spaces from those games who has got the highest HP and they have acted. Flame Tribe Rinka is a sword infantry unit this time with no preferred weapon, but that's fine because if you're going to be investing into her heavily, then we do have Arcane Elutnir as the rearmed hero weapon, so that makes her viability a lot better. So Rinka does have pretty good speed at base 41 and high base 44 defense. Usually these kinds of fast units don't really have as much defense, but Rinka is definitely an outlier in that regard. And Flame Gunbai as a inheritable weapon is pretty decent because it does give you +5 attack and defense, and also pretty much has no cap on its attack and defense debuff, which it can cause on the opponent depending on your visible defense. So he has got 180 BST and he has got Breath of Flame as his preferred weapon. So this weapon is actually pretty stacked for a dragon, and definitely is a step up from the original Muspel's weapon. So it has got -1 special cooldown built into it, and it also has Time Pulse built into it as well. And then if he initiates combat or if he's within 2 spaces of an ally, then he can get +6 attack to himself and -6 attack debuff on foe in the combat. And he also gets a guaranteed follow-up attack, and then finally he can pretty much cut through any kind of damage reduction skill by 50%. Muspel's base kit is definitely pretty synergetic with his playstyle, and so is his stats. So he has got 43 base attack with his super boon, so he can get even more true damage out of the Domain of Flame and hit really hard, and his defense is also pretty nice. So this time around, he is a green infantry beast with 187 BST, and he has got Fiery Fang as his preferred weapon. So this weapon gives him +3 defense, and at start of combat, if he's above or at 25% HP, then he can get +6 defense and attack in combat, and he can also inflict the attack and defense debuff on opponent based on 20% of his visible defense, and he can also get the follow-up negation against the enemy. So this makes overall Mordecai into a pretty solid and really tanky unit, because it cannot be understated how good it is, the fact that he can debuff the opponent's attack and defense by quite a lot. So he's definitely going to be a pretty good free-to-play scoring option for a lot of free-to-play players to invest into. So she is a 187 BST Gen 7 Axe Infantry unit with Crimson War Axe as her preferred weapon. So she can simply get +6 attack and speed in combat, and then she can get the effects based on the HP that she has at start of the combat. So if she's above or at 20% HP, she can get special cooldown charge +1 on both the opponent's hits and her own attacks. And if she's at or above 40% HP, she can reduce the damage from foe's first attack by 40%. Overall, in my opinion, Female Sheds is easily one of the best demote units that we have got in the recent times, especially with a weapon like this, and as a merge project, she's going to be really helpful to a lot of people in Arena as a 190 BST scoring unit. Male Chess is a sword infantry unit with 187 BST and he has got Crimson Blades as his preferred weapon. So this weapon is an 11 Might dual phase brave weapon which gives him +5 speed at the cost of inflicting -5 defense and resistance. And similar to female Chess, he also has those conditions which work on his HP. So having this kind of dual phase brave weapon makes him into a very strong unit because he can just tank the units and then kill them in retaliation with his dual phase brave weapon. Overall, he is going to be a pretty useful unit for the in-game content and also for Vantage sweeping in Aether Raid's chaos and also for functioning as a Gale Force unit in Aether Raid's offense. And she's got Fuming Free Kugel as her preferred weapon. So this weapon definitely takes an inspiration from the original Free Kugel weapon refine, with the fact that it's a hybrid weapon, providing both the support to her allies and also helping her in the combat. And this kind of supportive effect is going to be a lot better on faster save units like Ascended Fiarm, because they can get partial null follow-up from Hardy Fighter or even have access to Savvy Fighter. So this kind of damage reduction can help them, and the extra speed is also really helpful. So overall, Hilda is a pretty nice hybrid unit who can provide you with the support, which is not going to be on the level of like Elimine or Flame or Nifl's damage reduction, but she does provide you with the extra stats to kind of make up for that. So that can definitely be helpful, and then with her power, she could be used as a cleanup unit. Rearmed Lif is a Sword Cavalier this time with Arcane Elutnir as the arcane weapon, which could be given to a lot of the other sword units as well. But as for Lif himself, he can definitely benefit from this weapon because of his stat spread. This weapon gives a lot of the things which a Cavalier would need, so he's got -1 special cooldown, and he can also get -6 attack and defense debuff on the enemy, getting a guaranteed follow-up attack, and also having the follow-up negation with this weapon, and also inflicting guard on the opponent. Rearmed Lif is easily one of the best fodder units in the game, but I wouldn't really say that he's as good of a unit as he is as a fodder unit, mainly because he's missing Kanto as a Cavalier, and that's a pretty big deal. So Lif is not the most insane sword Cavalier, but because you can fodder him and still use him as a unit in the combat, he's still pretty decent as a sword Cavalier. Monica is a blue infantry mage with Wind Genesis as her preferred weapon. So this provides her with -1 special cooldown, and at start of turn, if she's at or above 25% HP, then she can get visible attack and speed buff, and she also gets the Desperation status for 1 turn. But as for the in-combat effects, the weapon also has that. So again, if she's at or above 25% HP, then she can get the following effects in combat. First of all, she can get +6 attack and speed in combat, and she can also get speed and resistance debuff on the enemy depending on their maximum special cooldown count. Her stat spread is pretty nice for a nuke with having 43 base speed, which is always nice for desperation, and she also has base 38 attack, which does have a super boon as well. So overall, Monica can function as a pretty good nuke, but she's still missing a part which could really push her to the next level like a lot of mages, which is having a damage reduction piercing special. So he's a Gen 7 sword infantry unit with 187 BST, and he has got Warrior Sword as his preferred weapon. This weapon gives him +3 attack on top of his high attack stat. You just need to be above 25% HP, and then he can get +5 to all of his stats in combat. He also gets bonus doubler, and he also inflicts guard on the opponent. He also has stats which go well with this weapon, so he's got base 41 speed, having a super boon in it, and also having good 43 base attack. But still overall, he is a solid free-to-play unit with a good preferred weapon and offensive stats to keep up. And he's also going to be having 190 BST after his first merge, so he can be a good free-to-play arena scoring unit for a lot of free-to-play players. And I'm also going to be plus in merging him, even though I have a plus in Yenfei. The matchups of holds is just better against the arena threats. So Legendary Ninian is present here as a water legend, and she is a green dragon cavalier. So here she is with her Faithful Breath as the preferred weapon. This can provide her with +3 attack, and whenever she uses her dance, she can inflict -6 defense and resistance on the nearest foes within 4 spaces of her and the target ally. So this weapon can also provide her +6 attack and speed in combat, and it also gives her partial null follow-up, which is the offensive version, which allows you to bypass any kind of follow-up negation units. And finally, if she has got the weapon triangle advantage against a blue opponent, or if the opponent has got a penalty on them, then she can essentially get the fire sweep effect, and they're not going to be able to counter attack. And her preferred assist is Dragon's Dance, And just like Pokemon's Dragon Dance, this also gives you +6 attack and speed buff. So she can act again, which is pretty amazing. And that allows her to just dance up someone and then act again and maybe go and attack a unit. So overall, she's not exactly too insane. And her dance is definitely quite balanced and kind of tame compared to the Fallen version of Ninian, which does provide a lot more support. I'm gonna be setting up with the Ardent Sacrifice of my Brave Alm because Bernadetta's Restorm can do that one friendly fire damage, which can enable the usage of Ardent Sacrifice, and then Wrath can also get activated along with Wings of Mercy allies who can also just teleport. Yeah, Alm is easily going to be able to kill this Asker and then also fall into the Wings of Mercy range. And the Dull All effect from Veluria's Refine is actually pretty good for ignoring his visible buff. So yeah, I can just go ahead and take out this Asker, chip down the units in the process. Still took 2 hits for my Brave Alm after the AoE special. So I can go ahead and just teleport with Veluria and take out this Crom and also get my special charge. And then I can just dance up my Alm and then take out this Hector. And that way I can also just teleport to take out Sonia, get my Gale Force, and then take out this Dimitri. And now I'm just gonna set up so that I can get to the pots next turn, get the other pot, and destroy this Brave Hector with that juicy AoE special. So this was a very strong team to start off the season with a +10 Asker in his bonus season. Not much I have to do, I can just smite my Alm now. And I can just leave Larum alive as the final unit actually. So we'll just send off Alm. And yeah, Growing Wind AoE damage is like the ASMR to me now. So yeah, we can get that. And then I can just go in with Veluria and get that. And then we can just go ahead and take out this Medius. Take out this V-Arm. That's 1 pot, 2 pot. And that's it for Larum. My Brave Cavaliers are actually Hex Trap proof, so I can just go ahead and do this and kill one of these units to get the Gale Force off without really having any kind of trouble. And yeah, we can just take out Node as well.
Of course.
And Erica is gonna get taken out by Seliph, so that is gonna be a Wings of Mercy right there. So I'm just gonna be doing that. Gonna be running away now. Asker just gets taken out, unfortunately, so I can just take out this Nana, I guess, and then retreat from there. I think that is gonna be my plan. I can just go over here with my Seliph and just go ahead and take out this Node really.
Together.
Get this pot. Oh, we just one-shot her with Seliph anyways because her Weapon Refine is not active anymore. There are no allies left to get that. So against this team I can definitely Gale Force, but we'll take my time to set up. Alright, so we're good to go now, and I can just go in with my Crom and Seliph. So I just had to set up here so that Peony could be smited. And now I can just 2-change Fate here. And
together.
Yeah, Medius is going to be dying here, which is pretty great. We can also take out Medius using Crom, so I think I'm going to be choosing to do that instead. Yeah, I'm going to be doing that. And I'm just a few points away from the Wings of Mercy. I can just dance up Crom now and have him just kill the Soth. And now he's in the Wings of Mercy. You can go ahead and take out this Liv to just dance up Crom yet again. So that is good. And I can actually just smite Seliph and have Seliph take out Sigurd.
Of course.
So I think I'll take that. Just one shot. And I can finish off this Triandra with yet another overkill.